Knowing yourself is the only thing Simcha will ever recommend anyone to do, whether it is in a spiritual search or just as a person going through life and this illusion of the world. And it's a very strange recommendation. What does it mean to know myself? I know myself. I was born with myself. I live with myself. I know myself so good. What do you mean when you say knowing yourself? What other self is there other than the one I am? So the identification with the self is very strong. And a person cannot perceive that his true nature, what he truly is not this imaginary self he is identifying with, his character. Knowing what we are, our true nature, knowing ourselves, is self-realization, is enlightenment, is the knowing of what is. It's the recognizing and identifying something lost, something that was lost, and it is found. And this thing that was lost is the true self. So when you say, I did it myself, or you use the phrase myself, you mean that you did it with the character. This is yourself right now. The self is the character, is the name, your name, is your history, is everything that brought you to this point of the moment of that you call right now, present moment. This is yourself. So there are like two levels of knowing yourself. Knowing yourself in the characters level and knowing yourself in the absolute level, what you truly are. And even the characters level, the one that you know yourself as a character, has a giant blind spot, because people usually don't like to look at themselves and see their faults or things that they are hiding from themselves and lying to themselves about themselves. People generally tend to lie to themselves about their character, who they are. They can imagine that they are kinder than what they believe they are, or they are more honest than what they believe they are. And they tend to attribute to themselves positive qualities that are not necessarily truly what they project to reality and what they do and how they act. Because it is very nice to think about ourselves, about our character, that we are, well, good persons. Anyone wants to think about himself that he's very good. And even if we find, and people do tend to find flaws in their characters, they will usually not be their true flaws. They will be the ones that they believe that are like better for their character. I mean that you can accuse yourself and reproach yourself that you are not good enough, or that you are not a better person, or that you are weak, or to accuse yourself of things. And usually you will not accuse yourself at the things that are flaws in your character. And this is how people tend to justify their behavior, and that's the way that they believe that the world does not understand them, because they do project flaws. They are not perfect. They accuse themselves, and they don't live in harmony with themselves. They don't think they are perfect. They have flaws, but they are not honest enough to know their true faults. And so there is a clash between the way the world sees them and their personal feeling or vibe. And this clash generates more confusion about the character. So knowing yourself in the character's level is the first thing a person can do, because absolute knowing of yourself is enlightenment. So if this is the way you choose to reach this present point, which is the way Simcha recommends to do it, to know yourself, the first thing you have to do is to know yourself in the character's level and see if the flaws you accuse yourself or your imperfections are truly your character's imperfections and flaws, not romantic ones that you identify with or believe that they are, and this is not what you truly do. You can be an arrogant person and not be aware of it, even if other people tell you that you act like that. And somewhere deep inside, this is not your feeling. This is not what you believe that you project. You believe you are weak, and they misinterpret you, but they interpret you right. So the best indicator for you to know your own self in the character's way or level is just trying to listen to what other people say are your flaws and really address these things, because they are the things that prevents you from being a kinder, more open, more trusting human being as a character. And the first thing you should do is know yourself as a character and work and evolve inside the characters. This is the only thing you can do as long as you are trapped inside this misunderstanding of identifying yourself as a separate character. Asking your closest friends or family about yourself in an honest way and trying to accept their answers, not fight with their answers, with your inherent system that you created out of unnecessarily, you needed to survive, so you built some kind of a structure of ways you behave towards the world. This became lines in your character, and you follow them and you believe that they are your own. You have natural lines inside the character. The only question is how you express them and how you turn them into positive lines in the character. Like stubbornness can be a wonderful line or something inside the character, but it can be something very harmful. So look, first thing you should do is look inside the character and honestly, really, really, really honestly, look at yourself, at the character, see its true imperfections, not the ones you imagine yourself to have because it's more convenient for you to believe that you are imperfected, or you're not perfect in that way. Not the way you believe you are, but the way you really are. And then with an open heart, try to make this character grow, evolve, and become kinder, and address these things that prevents the character from expressing itself in the highest possible way, expressing its potential. And I know people accuse themselves and they don't live harmoniously with themselves. This is the greatest paradox. You do two things. You blame yourself with the wrong accusations, and then you have like some kind of satisfaction that, yes, I'm not perfect. I do blame myself. I am weak. I don't think I'm perfect. But you blame yourself in the wrong things. And then because you blame yourself for the wrong reasons, the world around you reacts to this. This is something illogical, so the world reacts and there is a clash. And you think the world doesn't understand you and the world doesn't truly accept you. And if you blamed yourself for the right reasons, what you really can change and what you really do wrong, because there is nothing wrong, it's all a story, it's the way you express yourself. We are talking about the best possible way your character can express itself. So if you blamed yourself for the right reasons, you would try to fix, like you're trying to fix a faucet in the kitchen and it's not broken, the faucet in the shower is broken. So it doesn't matter how many screws you will try to open and what you will do with this faucet. It is not broken, but the one that is broken is unattended, so the water just flows. This is the first thing about knowing yourself, knowing the character, truly knowing the character. The second thing about knowing yourself is knowing through direct knowledge and not relying on anything other than your own sources and your own abilities. This is a very hard recommendation because it takes away any possibility of trusting something so much that you can devote yourself to. And it's the only way you can do that. The only way to reach yourself, your true nature, is to know what your true nature is. And your true nature expresses itself in a different way than the countless other forms. So there are countless forms and ways in which you can know yourself through the separate qualities of the separate form and character. It cannot be done with tools or methods or something another person offers you, no matter who this person is, the greatest and wisest person living or dead throughout the history or now. Those people can point to the point to the truth and describe the truth of your true nature and say it's the most wonderful thing in the world to know yourself, to know this, what you are. But the way to do that is only through the separate forms' ability to initiate and creatively form some kind of a special, unique road in which it walks. And this road is nothing like anything that is structured. The moment this thing, this search is a structured search, a spiritually structured search, like religion or any kind of meditation that presumes to lead you to this state, or anything that is built by someone else for you to walk inside the road, it is not the road. It is not your road. It does not come from yourself, so it will not help you. It will not lead you. It can do many wonderful things. Meditation can relax you and feel your quietness, and it can do many wonderful things for the character. I think it's wonderful for people to have their own rituals that they picked up or something that they believe in, and relaxes them and helps them grow through life and overcome crises. If you have a crisis and something like that helps you, it's very blessed. But on the road, the unexisting road to the singular point in which we are sitting right now, the present moment, there can be no structured and built system or way, because this thing, this knowing yourself, this realization is a spontaneous moment that occurs every millisecond. It's so spontaneous. It's unplanned. Of course, everything is pre-planned by us because there is no free will, but in the relevant plane, this thing, this one moment, this eternal moment, is a spontaneous movement. So any attempt to try and use other people's spontaneous movement, suppose it was wonderful for someone, it was spontaneous for him, for her, it's not spontaneous for you. It has to come from your own, very own, very specific way of life. People around you, community, tradition, scenery, has to come from the place that you know and surrounds you. And it has to come from the place you tell yourself, the gut feeling that tells yourself, this is what I want to do next. This is the next move. This is my next breath. This is what I want. It is spontaneous for me. It fills me with like sense of liveness. It's not dead. Anything that is not dead. Knowing yourself means following your heart and your gut feeling and being alive, because you go with yourself. You do what's right for you. It's very important, because independence, the mind's independence, is the strongest tool you have to reach yourself. To open up this possibility of being independent. Like a child, you don't need your mother, you don't need your father, you don't need your school, you don't need like a frame in which to work. There is a time and place where you are a grown-up and you need to decide for yourself. What are you going to learn? Who are you going to marry? What are you going to do with your life? You don't want these things dictated to you. In the very same way, the spiritual search needs to be very independent of a grown-up, not relying on anything and anyone. It's the only way you can reach maturity. And it can come from a spontaneous decision to go somewhere or to do something, and everything is alive. But it comes to go somewhere, it's because you know that you wanted to go to this place all along. It's not because someone told you that in this place you might find like inspiration. The difference between just going to a sacred place and going to a sacred place that is sacred to you. Maybe you love penguins and your sacred place is Antarctica and not India. What is your sacred place? What is the thing that leads you to evolve in the way that just opens you up to yourself? So this second thing is knowing yourself only through your own abilities and tools, only through your gut feelings, never devoting to a system or a person. Always leave this thing of yours, This is Simcha. And the third thing in this great saying, knowing yourself, is knowing what your true self is, beyond the character. Knowing what you are. And what you are is not who you are, because knowing yourself is not knowing who you are. Who is a person? What is a thing? So true knowing yourself is knowing what you are. And knowing what you are reveals the secrets of the universe and God and everything you imagine the spiritual search will lead to is the pure knowing of what this thing is. You don't need to do anything other than recognizing it, knowing that you are this thing. It gives all the answer. There are no ways in which you progress in this knowing, because this knowing is the absolute thing. There is nothing beyond it, because it is everything. It is this oneness. It is this or nothing. I call it, and I recommend you will find your own name for it. But this is the identification, the right way you identify with yourself. Knowing yourself is enlightenment, is knowing the thing that you are. This is not a person, this is not an object. It does not follow any rule you know as a person in this world, any physical rule. All the rules are cancelled. There are no rules. Once you know what you are, this is knowing your true self. Knowing yourself not in the character's level, knowing yourself in the absolute sense. This is the highest meaning of knowing what you are. Because right now you don't know what you are. You don't know yourself. You know the character. You know there's something beyond. You don't make the connection between the character and the something beyond. You can see the whole picture of what is. And the word knowing is a wonderful word. It's greater than believing. The greatest faith you will ever have in God or anything is just a belief, a faith, something you want to happen. You hang into it. It may be very inspiring to feel this faith, but it always leaves you with this fear or this lack of connection to the thing itself. You want to know, you yearn to know, you do everything you can to know, so you believe. But knowing is just a much more healthy way of existing as a character, the knowing, the pure knowing, then this is the greatest thing a person can achieve, a character can achieve. And it's a simple thing. It's just recognizing what is. It doesn't need work. It doesn't need money, or you don't have to be in certain kind of a place, a strong kind of a place, like situation. You can reach this state from any place you are, because you are this state, so you don't even have to make a step forward. You are already this thing, this knowing, but experiencing, like direct experience of this knowing is just the grandest thing. Knowing yourself in the character's level, honestly, truly, what your flaws, imperfections are working and evolving inside the character, knowing yourself. Knowing yourself, knowing only through a spontaneous movement of your gut feeling, never using dead moments of systems and methods and traditions, only the spontaneous movement of what belongs to you. And knowing yourself, knowing the thing that you are, which is not who you are, which is what you are. And this is realization. This is way beyond belief and love and everything you think that is very grand and mysterious. It's very, very simple. You just don't know it.